Hello everyone and welcome to another weekly recap. This is probably the last one. Well, yeah, I don't think I'll do a recap after the grand finals. It'll be over. There won't be anything to talk about. So it's the end. This is the last one. Season recap. I might do that a little bit later, like in the thing, maybe directly not after. I don't know. We'll work it out as we go, okay? If there's a video, check it out. If there isn't, don't check it out, I guess. But yeah, we have lots to talk about. 1 week until we get into the playoffs. The bracket is stacked. I'm really excited. It's going to be awesome in Anaheim. I hope I get to see a lot of your beautiful faces there on the Thursday and the Friday. It's going to feel like we're going home a little bit. It's going to be at the Anaheim Convention Center where we used to do BlizzCons. We're going to be in the same stadium that we used to play the World Cup, which is just an iconic Overwatch stadium. Might not be the biggest, but it is iconic. It's a lot of fun. I'm excited for it. You should be excited for it. First live event in too damn long. But let's talk about the play-ins first because that is more important for right now because we had some teams go home. Their seasons ended. We already talked about the East last week with the Hangzhou Spark qualifying over the Chengdu Hunters and the Guangzhou Charge. It'll be interesting to see how good the Spark are because when we look at the patch notes, it actually might be going in their favor in just a minute. In the West, we just saw these ones recently. Florida Mayhem looking dominant, just way better than the other four teams for the West, playing very well with that Zarya Baptiste composition. All looking to be in good form. Hydron's playing crazy on that Sojin. Checkmate's been impressing us on the Genji. Just honestly all coming together for them right now. Will they be able to keep to the same strength once they go into the playoffs in a completely different meta? That is the real question. The Boston Uprising made it into the finals to go up against the Toronto Defiant. They had a very rough game against Florida. That game was not close, and honestly, that was a consistent theme throughout the entire West playoffs. Games were honestly just straight up not close. One team was always just better than the other, it felt like. We only had one series between Toronto and Florida where a map went the other way of the losing team. But it's sort of, the writing was on the wall pretty quick. Washington Justice just not great. Not great. Letting us down one last time at the end of the season. Trying to play a little bit too much Assassin Sombra still. They were still trying to lean into that Tracer Sombra Diva style, where you like hack and isolate targets. But as we've all seen over the last couple of weeks, the Zarya composition is just better. It's too much damage. It's way too much sustainability. Nothing can really fight into that in that patch. So Washington Justice sort of sabotaging themselves a little bit. I saw Opener with a Jake Despair in there. Opener was off the goop a little bit on that Lucio, getting a little aggressive. But it just felt like communication wasn't there. Like people are going in when others are going out. People are just not utilizing their ults very well. Assassin's holding his EMP for Overwatch 3. It just was ugly. But honestly, I want to give a special shout out to Washington. I've been quite critical of them throughout the entirety of the year. But let's be honest, they are a team that has played quite well considering their organization blew up a couple of months ago. They sold all of their other players. They only had 5 players and Joe from marketing to really close out the season, and they actually put up a fight. So not in the play-ins, but good to see these players stepping up. I'm curious to see what happens to the Washington Justice moving forward because they have great players, but are they going to start going in a different direction with them trading a lot of their other good Korean players like Mag? Are they going to maybe go to a Western route next year? They've gone all over the place. We know that they're cutting back on their budget a little bit. Maybe this will be the last time we see Decay play for the Washington Justice. And if that is true, where is a player like Decay going to end up? Because no one can doubt how talented of a player he is. Same with some of these other players. Krillin had a great season, honestly. Very impressed with Krillin. He will be in the league in the future. But that is it for Washington. As I said, Boston Uprising, their season came to an end against the Toronto Defiant. Just, they didn't play that well in these play-ins. You know, they've had some pretty high variance to their gameplay, and it just wasn't really there. Victoria was having to play the Genji. There was like, something came out that Valentine is in Korea, and that was never really spoken about. When Victoria started getting played, we just thought, hey, maybe they think Victoria is a better player. But there wasn't any real context to why Valentine was in Korea, not in Boston, practicing and playing with his teammates. who really knows at this point? But it was disappointing. Victoria really got isolated by the Toronto Defiant, who played a great game. Honestly, Toronto Defiant looking good, looking to be back in the form that they were in the Summer Showdown. Good coordination. They're playing Finale, who I think is a better look for this team. Hopper playing very well in that Zaya. Hisu doing Hisu things. The Hisu was definitely least. So I'm curious to see what Toronto is going to show up in the playoffs. They've historically just sort of fumbled the ball this season every time they've gotten to the playoffs, except for in the Summer Showdown. So I think Florida and Toronto, both the teams coming out of the Western play-ins, have a chance to upset some of these other teams that might be on the edge of, like, if the meta shifts away from them, maybe they're not comfortable in the current meta, they could actually beat some of these teams, especially if we're going to a dive style, which could benefit Florida, could benefit Toronto, depending on how good their players are. So let us talk about the playoffs a little bit then. Let us talk about it. The playoff meta. So we still do not have, at this point, a playoff patch. We have not been given the patch notes. The teams, as far as I'm aware, are not practicing on the playoff patch yet either. So the league, in an attempt to keep all the teams playing at the same level, and this was outlined in a great GG Recon article by Yiska. Go check this one out if you haven't read it. We're not going to go through the whole thing. But essentially what Yiska said is the teams will not have access until to the patch until about October 24th or maybe October 25th. It's not 100% clear. But then they'll only have about 5 days to practice on this completely new patch. The reason it was done this way, just for context, is because you want the play-in teams to have the same amount of practice time as the playoff teams. So everyone traveling is at the same level, and no one gets an innate advantage because they may automatically qualify for the playoffs, other than their automatic seeding as well. So that is why it is done. But keep that in mind when you're watching these playoffs. The teams have not had a lot of time to practice on this new patch that I'm about to go through. So obviously Kiriko is coming into the meta. A lot of us were sort of speculating when we were first seeing her kit that she didn't seem that good. Especially after her coming into ranked, I think a lot of opinions have changed, especially mine as well. She is very good. I think she just gets better every time I play her. The more I see people get improved at Kiriko, people playing around Kiriko. Her mobility and how impossible she is to kill and stay mobile has synergized very well with Lucio, as we expected, where you can dive and just do so much individual healing. And that was something that I think surprised a lot of people, is if you're just healing your tank with your right clicks, you do a lot of healing. And that allows you to get up Kitsune ults a lot faster, which are very valuable ultimates. And I think you will see her be played. From the rumors right now, Lucio Kiriko seems to be the meta. How hard of a meta? I'm not sure. Are we only going to see Lucio Kiriko on, your Dorados, your Gibraltars, and that type of stuff? Or are we going to see them everywhere? Because the amount of healing that Lucio can do, if you play around that Lucio as well, is actually quite high. And you might be able to overrun any slower compositions, which would be cool. It'd be awesome to have a meta like that. Lucio Kiriko, a dive meta for the playoffs. I think you'll get a lot of skill coming out. So let's talk about the nerfs and why we think that's going to affect the playoff meta the play-in meta we were just watching. Goodbye, Bo. So Sombra hack is being reduced from 1.75 seconds to 1.5 seconds on the hacks. So I think we can all say that the previous hack was too short, but 1.75 felt too oppressive in a lot of situations. And Sombra's just not fun to play against. This is for not just the hour. This is going to be going into the game at some point as well. So Sombra's just been very oppressive in Overwatch. So hacked enemies are no longer valid targets for hacking for the duration of the effect. So I would assume that is stopping people from just being perma-hacked by a Sombra. And the hack damage multiplier is reduced from 40 to 25%. I think people started to realize that if you just hack a solo target and just shoot it as yourself as a Sombra, you can kill someone with very little counterplay with how long the hack duration was lasting. In 1.75 seconds with a 40% damage boost, if you have good tracking, if you have good aim, you just murder someone. So we're going to see Sombra get nerfed. Genji also got hit very hard by the nerf hammer. Maximum ammo reduced from 30 to 24, and the shuriken damage from 29 to 27. That's a lot of damage, right? So that's 6 damage if you're hitting all 3 shurikens, and that's 12 damage if you're hitting headshots with those 3 shurikens. I think what they're attempting to do with these Genji nerfs is to sort of avoid some of the break points where it feels like Genji is being too strong and too oppressive in just a straight one-to-one duel. Genji, for all ranks, has been just a menace with how much damage that the Genji can do. Left clicks, right clicks, just doing too much in terms of the brawl. So I think they're trying to realign that. I don't know how heavy this is going to hit Genji. All the Genji players I've talked to are just screaming at the wall. But Genji players do that all the time anyway. So we'll find out really how heavy this is. And if this is true, will we go back to seeing more Tracer instead of Genji in these dive type of metas? Xayah, barrier reduction from 2.5 to 2 seconds, which is enormous. That it might not feel like 0.5 seconds is a big deal, but that reduces Xayah's survivability, the effectiveness of her bubbles, a crazy amount. Xayah's biggest strength has not been the fact that she has high damage output like she has always had as a tank. It's the fact that she's just been very difficult to kill, especially with Kiriko coming into the game. She's just so hard to kill because she bubbles. You try and focus her down after her bubble. She bubbles herself again. And then you're like, oh, we can finally kill her. And then she gets a Suzu. She gets any protection. She just becomes this high energy target that's just too hard to kill. In line with them trying to fix that as well, they've also increased the barrier cooldown from 10 to 11 seconds. So it'll be 1 second longer duration on the bubble. So that means she won't have them as much, which I think is going to hurt Xayah a lot because her survivability just goes down a lot. And Xayah, if she can get isolated enough and killed fast enough, she just won't exist in the meta. So I think this might really hurt Xayah, and you will not see her as much as we've seen in the Countdown Cup. D.Va has also taken a hit from the hammer. Fusion cannon spread increased from 3.5 to 3.75. I don't really know what that feels like. That's a kind of an arbitrary number. You won't really know how that feels until recently. But essentially, that paired with the boosted impact damage reduced from 25 to 15, they're trying to make her less oppressive in just the amount of damage she does. She is just an assassin. She's a big Tracer who is just so annoying to deal with right now and less tanky and just too much damage. So they're trying to realign that with these D.Va nerfs. So nerfs across the board for these 4 heroes. These are heroes that were quite prominent being played recently, so I'm curious to see the direction we go. Quick PSA about these nerfs and this patch notes. This has not been confirmed by anyone or by the league or by Overwatch. This is just rumored that this was the patch notes that were given to the teams and contenders. Good job, contenders. This is why you can't have nice things. We're assuming that they were leaked by those people. So these might not be the finalized patch notes. These might not be everything that we're going to be seeing. This is just what sources are saying from Yiska. But there hasn't really been much refute coming from other sources, which makes you think that it is going to be what we're going to play. So with these changes, what do I think the meta is going to be? With Kiriko coming in, and from what I've played in ranked, we haven't played with these changes, but I wouldn't be surprised if we went to a Winston, Lucio, Kiriko setup with maybe like a Tracer Sojin. Sojin hasn't been hit by the nerf hammer, and her survivability is quite high, and she has a lot of mobility, so she can move with the dive with her high damage output. If I was throwing something at the wall, it would be Lucio, Kiriko, Winston, Sojin, Tracer. That would be my first guess. I actually don't have any inside sources right now of what the meta is going to be. So because as I said, the teams haven't even been properly effectively scrimming with these changes yet, because in fairness, they've been just trying to keep everyone alive. I hope that is the patch, because I think you get a lot of skill coming from the Winston. I think the Kiriko, I would love to see our flex support players playing Kiriko. I think that hero's I think that hero could be busted if put in the right hands. And I think in the right hands, they're going to be able to do a lot of damage. I've talked about her survivability, the amount of healing she can do for the average Joe. If you also have good aim, you can murder people from across the map. And I think we'll see a lot of that in this setup. But we'll also get Lucio, we'll get Sojin. It'll be a lot of fun. So we shall see. So I'm going to go into my pick'ems. This is the last thing we're gonna do. We're not gonna do power rankings. It kind of feels redundant if we're gonna do a whole bracket, because you can sort of determine my power rankings from the bracket. But we're gonna do my pick'em bracket for the playoffs and slowly work this one out. This is going to be very difficult to work out. Actually, one more thing I wanted to talk about, just as a PSA again for anyone who's going to be watching playoffs. Wait, where was it? Playoffs, here we go. So this is the bracket as it stands right now. We're about to go do our pick'ems for this. Philly, London, which is a really cool first match. And this is how it's going to play out. There's going to be a lot of matches in a week. So you guys better buckle in. But the cool thing about that is there's going to be perks for the Overwatch League. Fans who have linked their Battle.net accounts and watch can earn in-game perks throughout the entire weeks of playoffs and grand finals. Earn 5 league tokens per hour for every hour watched. Earn 3 Overwatch League home and away skins for every 3 hours watched, up to 30 hours. And see the chart below for a full list of earnable skins, including the newest Overwatch 2 heroes, Sojourn, Junker Queen, and Kitiko. Additionally, custom community-designed Overwatch 2 cosmetics will be dropped after specific viewership milestones. So if there is enough viewership, they are going to give away these perks. This was made by A2 Ziegler, which is known as Angie. She makes a ton of great art for the League. Chopsogen and Hysteric Rain. I think Hysteric Rain, sorry. I said that wrong. But these people have been artists in the community for such a long time. It's awesome to be able to see their work be put into the game and hopefully get them recognized by the league and a lot of people. So I'm really excited for all these people. This name card is really cool. Very cool with that. Player icons. We're going to get more and more icons. They're going to become more and more relevant. So this is the Grand Final Spray 1, Grand Final Spray 2 for sprays that you can get in game. Here is the playoff skins that you can get from watching. If you watch it at 3 hours, you get the Tracer Genji Bastion skin and the Grand Final Spray. If you watch 6 hours, blah, 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 blah. This is, you can find this all on the Overwatch League website if you would like more details on this. But there's a lot of stuff to get if you are watching the playoffs. So come watch the playoffs. I know if you're watching this video, you're probably going to watch the playoffs anyway. But inflate our viewership. Leave YouTube on, get all the playoff hours done, and you'll get a lot of cool stuff for watching the league. And you get all these ones for watching the grand finals with the Junker Queen Sojourn and all that kind of stuff. There is event perks. If you're going to the event, you'll get a Pasha's name card and all that kind of stuff. So if you're going to the event, make sure to go check all this out. If you go to the playoffs, you go to the grand finals, you'll be able to get all this stuff as well. So lots of cool things happening for the Overwatch League. Viewership has been going up. I think we hit 55k viewers for the playoffs. For the play-ins. And it's been going up, obviously, with the success of Overwatch 2 and the game doing well. Hopefully, we should be able to get into some higher numbers. We're relevant again. We're doing it. Let's hope this playoffs continues that trend. Does it hit 70k? I saw 55k at an average. 63k, there you go. So I'm getting lots of different numbers from chat, but it's better than 25k, which we've been sort of lingering around a little bit this year. So it's cool to see. Also, before I move on and do my pick'ems bracket, quick reminder for everybody here. I didn't have this set up, but let's go play Overwatch. Halloween event starts tomorrow. Make sure to go check this one out. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm curious to see what their first new event is going to be. There's a couple of new skins coming in for Kitiko and Junker Queen, which are all really cool. I think they have all the old skins as well. I don't know how you're going to acquire them. I don't know how the event works. Just go check it out. Make sure to go check out the Halloween event. Should be fun. All right, let's go. Let's do our bracket. So keeping in mind, that is what I'm going to expect as the playoff patch. I don't think, and the playoff meta. So I'm just going to run with that mentality. And if that bricks my bracket, then it bricks my bracket. I'm going to think about teams and how they're going to be able to play in these metas and if that is going to be strong for them. All right, so London Spitfire. Interesting point that basically said London will force rush. There is a world in which Lucio Kiriko is good in the rush, or maybe you could just keep playing Lucio Bap and just counter the dive. In the most recent matches, London Spitfire was still playing some rush. I would not be surprised if they stuck to that. Will the Fusion know how to deal with it? We still do not have any information on Zest, I believe. I think it is still up in the air whether or not Zest is going to be eligible to play. So we'll see. But I'm going to go with that as my expectation. I'm going to go with Philly. I think Philly are probably going to be in a good spot going into this match. I think London is going to push them to the edge, though. I think if London can play maps in which they can get rush, I think they're in a good spot. Maybe they'll win control and they'll just play rush and they'll get over it. But yeah, Philly has higher highs, and I think Philly is going to come in hopefully at a pretty high level. Hangzhou Spark versus Shanghai Dragons. I think Shanghai is going to beat Hangzhou. I think if they can play Fate, Izayaki on the Kiriko, I think Shanghai's in a good spot. The only fear that I have for them is that if Tracer is meta, Fleta hasn't been that good this season on Tracer. And with the heavy-handed Genji nerfs, Who Are You is unlikely to play. So I'm going to go 3-1 for the Shanghai Dragons. There is a world in which the Hangzhou Spark are really good in this meta, right? You can play Shy on that Sojin, Pineapple on that Tracer. We got Gushue on the Winston. Like, there is a lot of upside to this team in this meta, but I'm more of a, I'll see it when I believe it. Wait, I'll believe it when I see it. Second time's a charm. Because Hangzhou could easily just show up and just disappoint me as they always do. And I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole like Johnny did. Changun, though, yeah, true. With Changun, they're probably going to show up playing Rush. Let's be realistic. They're going to play Rush and just suck at it. Florida versus Atlanta. Oh. Florida's been playing well, but it's playoffs Atlanta, right? You need to put some respect on the playoffs Atlanta. I think they're going to be in trouble if Winston is meta, though. Right? If Winston is meta, that is probably going to be bad for Atlanta. But I think Atlanta actually have an interesting thing that they can probably play a really good Rush on certain maps. So I'm gonna go 3-2. I'm gonna make this series a banger. I think Florida's gonna push Atlanta, but I think Atlanta's gonna have it on thing. But Florida is in a good spot. If Hydron can keep playing that good of a level of Sojin, I think Florida are in for a good spot. Gator plays his third map of the season. We'll see. Majed Kiriko, I think they're going to play RuPaul. I think RuPaul has just been better than Sir Majed this year. I think they have a great double flex support, but RuPaul is just more consistent in my opinion. They might try and force D.Va, but yeah, like D.Va didn't get that crazy of a nerf, so like maybe if you try and play Winston, they can just go D.Va, right? Like D.Va's spread is obviously reduced, but that won't stop you from murdering a Winston, right? The spread's not going to change when you're murdering a Winston, and that 10 damage to the boosters isn't going to be the thing that's going to make or break your damage against the Winston, so maybe D.Va could be more prominent than I'm giving credit to, because the changes weren't that bad. I got Mayhem. I can see Mayhem being good here. I don't know, like, but if they can just play like Venom Tracer, Kai Sojin, but that would be so weird for them to not. Hey, bye. I see you. How's it going? I have no faith in Atlanta. Yeah, I don't know. Atlanta's been shaky, yeah, but like, here's the thing, and this isn't even just like a weird assumption. This is like, Atlanta always shows up for the playoffs. This has been true for a year and a half at this point. Yeah, I'll go Atlanta 3-2. Where's the deadline for the bracket? Don't know. All right, let's go Toronto versus Houston. Houston could be in trouble because literally it feels like the developers are trying to keep Dante down, right? They've nerfed Junker Queen. They've nerfed Doomfist. They just nerfed Zaya. They even nerfed a little bit of D.Va and the way that Dante likes to play D.Va. So, like, yeah, they can play Lastro Lucio and then play like creative Kiriko and it could be really good. And, you know, but then it's like they also nerfed Genji, who is one of Pelican's best heroes. So it's like, it really feels like Houston is one of the teams getting hit the hardest by these nerfs. But Toronto have the same issue that they haven't really played a Winston, right? Like Hopper's best heroes also feel like they are the ones getting nerfed. Maybe they'll lean more into just playing the D.Va. Chorong, Lucio, Twilight, Kiriko is kind of crazy. Muse, well, they haven't played Muse. Like, you guys can say Muse, but like, there's a bunch of teams that it's like, are they going to play this other player that they've had benched for so long? You know what I mean? Like, do you, at this point, do you just commit to Muse? Stage 1, they played him? Yeah, but that was like 6 months ago, it feels like at this point. I kind of want to go for Toronto, but I feel like Houston fans are just going to hate me. Right? Like, I actually don't think Toronto is a hot take, especially if I'm defining the meta in the way that I think it's going to be played. Maybe Echo could be good, but I feel like Echo has just... I don't know if Echo is good because I don't think Lucio Kiriko can heal an Echo. Like, healing a flying target as Kiriko, especially one that's like flipping and flying and that kind of stuff, is actually quite difficult. I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to go to Toronto. I can't doubt Pelican. Yeah. Ugh, it doesn't feel good though. Like, Houston have been really good. And I feel like they always defy my expectation. Your last recap was Houston are not the best team. Yeah, they are coming off of 2 bad losses, but they've had a lot of time to practice for this meta, while Toronto haven't. Actually, I'm going to use that as a reason to give Houston Outlaws. I think Houston have had more experience playing Kiriko, playing Lucio to work this shit out, while Toronto is having to practice other things. So I'm actually going to give that to the Houston Outlaws. I think they're going to have a better idea of what they want to do in this situation. And it feels bad predicting against Houston. Like, it really does. They haven't ever performed in the playoffs. Yeah, that's true, right? But as I said, like, you can't just go in with that only mentality, right? You can use it to factor in, right? And that's why I'm even giving Toronto a pass, right? And why I'm even deciding whether or not Houston is going to beat Toronto. But I don't know. I think this is a close one. That one can go either way. All right, then let's choose teams. Who are they going to pick? So Dallas Fuel gets first pick. If this is the teams that you can pick, who do you choose? I think if you're Dallas Fuel, you pick the Philadelphia Fusion. I think if you're Dallas, you're afraid of Houston on land. Like, I don't think Dallas would ever pick Houston. I think you could make an argument that they'd pick Houston, but I don't think Dallas specifically would pick Houston. Rush is a chat and pick Shanghai for the rematch? Nah, I don't think you're going to do that here. Dallas could pick Atlanta? Yeah, you could say that. It really comes down to how these games play out and, like, who looks good at this point, right? Like, we can make as much speculation as we want, but we don't know how these games are going to go, right? So I'm going to go Dallas, and I think Dallas is going to beat down Philly. I'm going to go 3-1. I think Dallas is going to be good in this meta. I think Sparkle being able to play that Tracer, he's actually looked quite good at it. I think Fielder's going to be sick at Kiriko. Hanbin, Fearless as the tank lineup. Like, I'm in a good spot, and Eddie has been playing out of his mind on the Sojin as well. Dallas picks London. Dallas have lost Houston in every land match with them. Yeah, and that's why I'm not picking them. So then Seoul picks, and I think Seoul picks Atlanta. Seoul's last pick? Oh, really? Oh, yeah. So who's the official second seed? Shock or Glads? Shock pick second? All right, Shock pick... I don't think Shock picked Shanghai, but that would be something Krusty would do. It really comes down to how good Shanghai looks. I think if Shanghai looks really good, they won't pick them. But I don't think Shanghai is going to look infallible, so I think Krusty picks Shanghai. And I think Shock... Do we think Shock is good in this meta? Proper will play the Sojin in this setup, and Striker will be on the Tracer. So I think they will have that going for them. They'll have to play Violet Lucio, which isn't bad. But then, like, Violet or Finn on Kiriko is going to be kind of nuts. If they play Mikey, they just lose. Like, regardless of everything else that is going on in the world of Mikey, he just hasn't been good for the Shock, right? Like, he just play Kaluge. They have a better chance playing Kaluge on a suboptimal hero than they do of winning with Mikey. All right, so I'm going to go 3-1 for the Shock then. Because as I said, I think Fleta gets fucking rolled by Striker on Tracer. I think Lip proper is going to be a 6 Sojin matchup. This will be a good match. Honestly, this will be a good match. I'm going to go 3. I'm just going to put a bunch of 3-2s because I think they're going to be close. But yeah, I think the difference in this matchup will be if Striker is on the Tracer. If Striker's on the Tracer, that's where the diff is going to come. Unless Fleta just hits previous form, I think it's going to be hard for them. Custa trying to will good Overwatch to happen. Dude, I hope this week of Overwatch is so good. Dude, I'm going to feel something, man. It's going to be good. All the players are going to be there. All the talent is going to be there. Next week is going to own, right? If you are not excited for next week, you should be. Because it's mid-season madness where all the teams and players are together. There's going to be a crowd. It's going to be way better than Hawaii. I'll be there too. Oh, okay, so it's not going to be that good, but, you know. Atlanta Reign and Houston Outlaws. Gladiators pick... Who does the Glads pick between Atlanta and Houston? I think it really comes down to who looks better. I think Glads will pick whoever looks worse. I think it really depends on who's good at this, but we're taking a stab at it. I think they choose Houston. I think they choose Houston. I think Gladiators have a good record versus like what? Yeah, okay. Actually, let's have a look at this. Let's look at the LA Gladiators. What's their record against Houston Outlaws? They lost to Houston Outlaws in week 15 and map 5. Oh, that was in the Jotes meta. Every other time they've beaten them. I don't think they really count Jotes meta, so I think I'm going to go Glads 3-1. I think Glads are just going to be nuts. Regardless of what the meta is. Like, regardless. They got Kevstar on Tracer. They got Happy on Sojin. Ryan is very, very good. Like, the only time he's really stumbled has been when he had to play Junker Queen. But, like, Junker Queen's not going to be meta. That's probably one thing for sure. Shu on Kiriko. Funny Astro on Lucio. Like, they have everything. I don't think there's a world in which Gladiators don't perform in this playoffs. If they do fail in this playoffs, that'll be a really disappointing setup. All right, that means Seoul is going to get the Atlanta Reign. And I think Seoul beats Atlanta. I'll give Atlanta a map. Because I don't want any 3-0s. There's probably going to be more 3-0s, but it's too hard to predict at this point. All right, then Dallas Fuel versus Seoul Dynasty. Hanbin Fearless versus Smurf. Edison versus Fitz. Prophet versus Sparkle. Seoul wins. Oh. I don't know. It hurts. I think Seoul wins. I think this is a better meta for Seoul. Is it though? If Fearless is playing well. No. I think the one matchup that I'm worried about is Sparkle versus Prophet. But Sparkle always seems to come alive in the playoffs. Playoff P. This really comes down to who's better in the meta. Like, it's impossible to predict at this point. I'm going Dallas Fuel. I said it. I said it earlier that I think Dallas Fuel is going to be good this meta. I think they're going to be good. The linchpin is their DPS line. And I say this time and time again. Dallas's DPS line is going to be the thing that I think makes or breaks them. If Sparkle shows up, plays very well on the Tracer, if Edison keeps putting up the level of performance on the Sojourn, I think, because remember, this is also a hive mind meta. Like, that will be the hive mind setup of, like, if you're playing Lucio, Kiriko, Winston, it is going to be 100% about teamwork. It is going to be about coordination. I don't think mechanics is going to be the be-all, end-all of this meta. Dallas bias? Dude, some people are saying I'm a Dallas hater. Some people are saying I'm a Dallas simp. You can't win. You know, you can't win. But Seoul, I don't trust Seoul. And after how poorly they performed at the midseason madness, I got to hold it against them. I got to hold it against them. So did Dallas? Yeah, but Dallas didn't come last. So, wait. Let's pull this up. Let's pull this up. Overwatch League Wikipedia. Where are we at? Where did they go? Where did they come out? Did they come last? I don't think they did, right? If they did, I've just blacked it out of my mind. They did come last. Fuck! Really? I didn't realize they did that poorly. That's a Philly in Shanghai, yeah.
Pass into the ass.
No Jimmy in the grand finals? Custa is so biased SMH.
So much bias right now. I know, Bo. I'm just as upset. I'm going with Dallas. Fuck it. I'm in. I'm full sending. San Francisco Shock versus the Gladiators. I'm going to go for the Glads. Going 3-1. I think Shock are going to have this. They're going to have the yips again. I think the Shock are going to have the yips in the playoffs. Until they prove to me that they can win these games, I'm not sure. And I think the Gladiators are going to be good in this. All right, now let's go to the lower bracket. We're getting people knocked out here. Let's roll. Let's roll. Shock don't have the hive mind. Yeah, I think it's going to be less. There's a world though in which Tracer is just stupidly good, right? Where like Tracer like dominates the server. But yeah, I don't know. Here we go. London versus Houston. I think London's going to try and play Rush, and I just don't think it's going to be better. I'm going to give London a map, but I'm just going to precursor this. I'm not going to predict for Houston to shit the bed in the playoffs because I am trying to manifest it. Like, Houston, please don't suck. Like, at least get, like, top 6. Like, they should. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I don't even know if I can print them over. Well, I'm going to go Houston over London. Shanghai, Hangzhou, Spark. I think Shanghai. I just really hope I don't see Spark go far. Like, this feels like the writing on the wall is the exact same thing that we saw in the midseason madness, where I could see the Spark just showing up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Spark could just show up and just fuck with Shy. Like, Shy could just dominate, and they have everything going for them. It feels like a Shy moment of, like, if we do end up in a Winston, Tracer, Sojourn meta, like, Spark could be so good. But I don't want it. I don't want it. I think their support line, they have 4 players. They can work it out, right? Like, they looked actually quite good when they played. Who did they play? They played Super Rich Teru. They actually looked pretty good. Yeah, I'm going to go for Shanghai Dragons. Because I think I'd rather see Shanghai Dragons go further. I don't think I want to see Spark go further. Like, I think you're just gambling that Shy is gonna fuck for him. Florida Mayhem versus Atlanta Reign. Atlanta has to go through at least somewhat of a lower bracket run. It's going to be close, though. I'm going to allow Florida to give them a chance. Toronto versus Philly. I don't trust Toronto. I don't think Toronto's as good as Philly. But we're going to go 3-2 as well because we're manifesting good games. Wait, no. I put that wrong. Philly beats Toronto. Actually, no, I think Toronto loses 3-1. I don't think Toronto's going to be that good. I'm not sold on Toronto. I've talked myself out of Toronto again. All right, then we got Houston Outlaws versus the Shanghai Dragons. I think I have to go for Shanghai. I was trying to manifest a good run. I think the thing that hurts me the most is I just don't think it's going to be a good meta for Houston. Like, all of their best heroes just got nerfed. Like, literally all of the heroes that I think got them to their success just are just getting nerfed. It's the Merit versus Lipsogen, and I think Merit can hold that together, but it's like, I guess Pelican versus Fleta Tracer is an underwhelming from both sides. Then why are you doubling down? Well, I said I was going to double down, and by double down, I meant they're going to get eliminated in the second round, not the first round. I'm going to go Shanghai 3-1. Dante versus Fate. Yeah, I just think Fate on the Winston is just going to be better. Like, I don't know. I just think Shanghai is going to be better in this manner. Atlanta versus Philly. I think Atlanta. Just because it's Atlanta in the playoffs. How do I convince you Fusion beats Atlanta? I just don't think they do. The only way Philly beats Atlanta is if everything just comes together for them. Zest isn't injured. The meta is perfect for them. Like, all that kind of stuff. But, I don't know. Fusion have to get second. There's no way Fusion gets second this season. Aye. Hawk Winston. Well, they could play Gator, but also there's a world in which I'm thinking that you can play Diva. With Sombra getting nerfed, you could actually just play Diva against the Winston, and it could work well. I don't know. But it's like, that's like, do you guys trust Bellis Rhea on the Winston? I don't know. Like, Bellis Rhea's been so hot and cold to me. Maybe that's just like my opinion, but also, MN3 doesn't look comfortable on the Sojin. He like feels like he just wants to play Ashe all the time. All right, Shanghai versus Seoul. I think Seoul beats Shanghai 3-1. I don't know. At this point, I just think Seoul is going to be a better. I think if there's going to be a team from the East that can compete with the West, it's going to be Seoul Dynasty. All right, and then Shock versus Atlanta. I think Shock's going to win. And this is going to be my first 3-0. I'm actually going to put Shock 3-0 because I don't think Shock is going to go down here. And I think this is the point in which Atlanta is probably, like, I think Atlanta's going to be content at this point. You know, they're like, I don't know if they're going to be able to just, like, be there like a for-fun team, right? And go down that mentality and beat the San Francisco Shock. They almost beat the Shock last time, yeah, but I don't know. I think the Shock's going to be, they're not going to fall over like that. Yeah, there's a world in which Atlanta has a miraculous win, but I also think there's like, you know how like Atlanta gets to a point sometimes and then they're just like, okay, whatever, we'll lose. Like it's fine. Kind of what happened to them in the grand finals against Shanghai last year. I think this is going to be that point for them. Like I don't think they're going to be too upset if they lose to the Shock. They secured the bag. I think they've made it far enough. I think they're probably happy with where they're at. Like, all right, Seoul versus San Francisco Shock. The grand finals rematch. The legends. Seoul wins 3-2. The San Francisco Shock are gonna fall short. I've had Shock at number 4 in my power rankings, and I think this is where I think I don't think Shock beats the odds. Proper gaps profit? Nah. Because they're not even going to be playing the same thing. Proper isn't going to be playing Tracer if this is a Tracer. If it is a Sojourn Tracer meta, Striker will be the one playing Tracer. Proper will be playing Sojourn. So Proper is going to have to beat Fitz, which I think he can do. I think they go toe to toe. I don't know. Striker's Tracer has looked good, but is it Profit good? Still these days? I don't know if it is. I think this is where I draw the line. But Apex shits the bed on land. We only have one thing to go off of that for, right? Alright. And then we got, what do we got? Dallas Fuel taking on the Los Angeles Gladiators. I think this is going to be a really good meta for the Gladiators. I think Reiner and Kev's coordination on the dive is fucking incredible. Like I remember the last time we watched it with Winston Tracer, it was so good. And then if Shu picks up the Kiriko, they can play Lucio. Glads wins 3-2 over the Dallas Fuel. Hi, this is gonna hurt. And then Dallas loses 3-1 to Seoul. It's in the air. You guys feel that, right? I think that's when Playoff P comes alive. I think this is like Smurf playoff experience. Playoff P experience is going to get Seoul over the edge. And then we go to the end. And I fucking hope this is true. I hope Gladiators beat Seoul 4-3. And Gladiators are gonna win. I don't care who wins the grand finals. I don't care who is there. My only hope is that the grand finals is a fucking banger. That's all I hope for. And I really hope that's what we get because there's so many good teams. Custa Dallas hate is coming. I can't. This is it. I save. I hereby agree that I am a legal resident of the 50 United States. True. I agree to the Overwatch League privacy policy. Maybe. Locked in. Okay. With that, we need to have a discussion. If you're a Houston fan watching this and you're like, Custa, you're so stupid. You can say that. But what happens if it's true? If you're a Dallas fan and you're molding and you're screaming at your monitor and be like, Custa, we gave you a jersey. How could you do this to you? It's going to be okay. Prove me wrong. I hope they prove me wrong. Everything is up in the air. Everything is to play for. I hope that I get proven wrong. I hope these matches are competitive. And I hope that all the games are fun. Okay? And that's the most important thing. It's going to be an interesting meta. We don't know what the meta is right now. We don't know what to expect. We don't know what any of these teams are going to do. Anyone could win at any point except for Philly, okay? So you should be excited by that. It's going to be a great playoffs. Keep an eye out for it. Please stay safe. I hope you guys enjoy this upcoming week of playoffs. It's going to be fun. We're going to be live in person at the desk. We're going to be there with a crowd on Thursday and Friday. The matches are going to be awesome. The games are going to be fun. Make sure to watch the playoffs for and connect your account if you guys want a lot of the Overwatch League free stuff that they're giving in-game. Love you all. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you all. I'll see you guys next time.